Oh, what do you mean I'm fired? What?
No notes.
Sorry, go ahead, guys.
No notes.
I thought you were going to cook on the on the run.
Oh, well, I mean, before I get to the run, I'll just say the thing that stood out to me was the little things that Denver did to just poke at the Lakers scheme, to just taking what they knew the Lakers wanted to do and just poke at it throughout the game. So you want to put Rui on Nikola Jokic, you want to put Anthony Davis on Aaron Gordon, that's fine. First play of the game, let's go Jokic Murray pick and roll. Let's put Aaron Gordon on the left wing, strong side. So Anthony Davis, you enjoy that. Let's get a little false action so LeBron can't just sit on the help. Let's get Jokic to roll. Think about what we just did. Just download that, Lakers. Just put that in your back pocket. Whenever the Lakers were able to defend things well, I think Denver does such a good job of moving things around offensively to where now we understand we're going to counter and we're going to do it very quickly. You have Anthony Davis lurking, guarding Aaron Gordon in the dunker spot, which some people hate.
Hold on. Hold on a second. Let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about this for a second. All right. I want to be clear. I want to be clear. I think as a general, in general, when teams just basically cop out and say, we're going to put a non-shooter in the dunker spot, I hate that. Okay? I hate that. I think there's more creative ways to use non-shooters in space. Okay? As it relates to the Nuggets, I love the dunker spot.
Yes,
I love the dunker spot. And then the other thing I like, which a lot of teams have started doing, and I probably first noticed it last year, and you guys have maybe talked about it on the podcast before, but using smaller players in the dunker spot so that the rim protection comes from a Trae Young, right? Because he's down in the dunker spot defending his man, right? That's an example, but those are the two good uses of the dunker spot, all right? And you, by the way, the dunker spot against like a empty side, mid post or post up, you kind of have no choice but to be in the dunker spot. I mean, when the ball's like sort of in the high quadrant, like just putting a non-shooter in the dunker spot, I fucking hate that. I hate that. That's all. All right.
I love it. I love it. But, Anthony Davis would show that help, and Nikola Jokic, he stopped rolling that far. He just would stop short. And all of a sudden, I'm either going to get a jumper or I'm going to get a post up. The Lakers were really committed to doubling Jokic on the catch in the post, especially when he had Rui on him. They throw it in, we're doubling, we're pre-rotating. I believe it's something we talked about on this very podcast. Denver deals with those possessions, but now they poke at you. Now Jamal Murray's throwing the ball in, and he's one pass away, and he's going to relocate a little bit to the wing and now make that rotation harder. They're going to go ahead and have KCP throw it in, put Jamal Murray in the opposite corner as he's the last guy against those rotations, have Aaron Gordon pin in on the weak side. And now we make you think about that. We put pressure on you to do those type of things. I just think at the end of the day, it ties into, can the Lakers stop Denver late? I think the Lakers can compete with Denver in this series, but this is a team you have to go out and beat. And if over the course of a game, they poke holes at you defensively, they make you think, and all of a sudden they're in a scenario where it's Jokic Murray pick and roll, you're loading up help, there's the lob to Aaron Gordon that's automatic. You say, hey, we don't want to give that up. Let's stay home on Aaron Gordon. Let's still show help on Jokic rolling. Oh no, that's Michael Porter Jr. open for three. That kind of stuff is where the buildup for Denver is what makes it so tough. And so that's what I'm trying to see. How do the Lakers adjust defensively to put themselves in a better position so late game they can handle that kind of swarm, because Denver just keeps moving things around.
And I would just say, just to circle back to, JJ, to open the question, like it kind of takes me back to, again, the margins being so small in the playoffs. Any kind of miscue will get hammered by the opposite team. And when you get to a series like this, as Steve said, and I think we echoed similar sentiments on the pod, I feel like the Lakers have the personnel, they have the players to compete with them. There is a blueprint for the Lakers being able to pull this off. And we saw that in the first half and early in the third quarter, where, okay, if we defend well enough, if we can poke at Denver's coverages, we got Jokic in the drop this time, let's explore the space, let's get some kickouts going. If Jokic is at the level, especially against some of these handoffs, we can now poke at that. Let's make sure that whoever Jamal Murray's defending, he's in the opposite corner. Let's stash AD at the elbow. We'll go into a handoff action. We get Jokic at the level. Now AD's rolling for a lob against low and small help. We can have fun with this. They have things to poke at. 3-point shooting obviously going to be very important. D'Angelo Russell in particular just did not have it for the Lakers in that game one. So naturally they're going to hope for a bounce back there. But even going to the third quarter run, position that I have in my head as the Nuggets were making this push, they score. The Lakers go on the other end. It's Taurean Prince on the left wing. And Taurean Prince drives to the basket against 2, maybe 3 people. And I want to say it was either Austin Reeves or D'Angelo Russell in the left corner. Just a wide open kick out there because they got 2 on the ball early in the possession. Swing to Taurean Prince. He drives, he misses. KCP hits a pull-up 3 in transition to cap off the run. And it's just like, you can't have those possessions. That's not the fanciest analysis, but that's the pressure that Denver puts on you. And it kind of speaks to overall in the playoffs, you have to be on it every possession. You cannot waste possessions in the playoffs.
So I actually think that's great analysis, Nikias, because I think it speaks to exactly what you both just talked about. It's a perfect example of why possessions, every single possession, is more important in the playoffs. I know LeBron had a quote after the game where he was talking about attention to detail. The Denver Nuggets force you, the best teams, I would say I'm not just saying the Nuggets, the best teams, they force you to be damn near perfect, right? Basketball, till the end of time, is a make or miss sport. It is, right? You have an off shooting night, you have a hot shooting night, that's great. But it still comes down to the details. It truly does. And the Nuggets, like any great team, they force you to be damn near perfect on the details. And your point about the non-kick out, it's a great point, right? Especially during a run. Like we were talking with Spo yesterday, and he was talking about he called them skirmishes, which I was like, I had to get clarification from him. I'm like, skirmishes? What do you mean by skirmishes? And what he was talking about was end of quarter, end of half management, starting quarters, right? That little 2-minute stretch, right? If you can win that on the margin consistently, that's a detail that's important. He was talking about those bursts from Boston, where back-to-back possessions, they get a 3, then all of a sudden you turn the ball over, Jaylen Brown out in transition, all of a sudden it's an 8-0 run. Like managing those skirmishes. And one thing he pointed out, and Mark Dagnall once said this to me last year in talking about Shea, Spo was like, that's where we're going to miss Jimmy because he's so good at recognizing when we're in a skirmish to calm us down, get us a good shot. Dagnall said the same thing, that Spo kind of alluded to yesterday with Jimmy. Get to the free throw line. It's like during those runs, it's like the detail of making the right play, the decision, it's so paramount. And I think against the best teams, you have to be spot on, not even more consistently than not. Almost perfectly consistently. The second thing I wanted to point out, and we're going to end the show here because I think we've covered a lot. Steve, you had, I think, the most important question, not just for the Lakers, but for anyone who wants to beat the defending champions. Can you stop the Nuggets late? That is the most important question to me. And how do you do it? Right? We did a whole segment recently about how do you guard the Denver Nuggets. But that, to me, with the way they sort of put the chess pieces in different spots based on your coverages, based on matchups, based on personnel, okay, now we're going to get to the 2-man. And can you stop it based on the way that we've mapped the court here? That's the question for not just the Lakers, but for any team who wants to beat the Nuggets. Am I off on that?
No. And you catching that ball, that's how locked in you have to be when defending the Denver Nuggets late.